Hey there, it's Matt Weeks from SSW TV. I'm here with Aaron Powell from Microsoft. We've been chatting about Aspire and all the cool new dev improvements that have happened. Aaron, how are you going?
Good, yeah. I'm really excited about this release because there's a bunch of just really nice quality of life improvements, and I think that's one thing that Aspire does really well. Is just improve the quality of life for that like developer in the loop. And each release brings something new that you're like, wow, why didn't I think we needed that before? And it just makes it so much easier and nicer to work with.
Yeah. So what if you were to give your top three improvements, what would they be?
Yeah, so it's actually one that came out, I think, in the 9.2 release, but I don't know how many people actually caught on to it.
Yeah.
If we have a look down here on my Aspire dashboard, with the web application, instead of just being a HTTP endpoint, it's actually got a custom name saying online store. So we can change those endpoint URLs so that it can be a bit more descriptive. So it's not just a whole page of HTTP endpoints. And if you had a service that was exposing multiple HTTP endpoints, so maybe your web application has
Got
a
a
couple.
front end and an admin dashboard or something like that.
Yeah, so you can easily just jump straight through to those. You don't have to be like, oh, so the admin was on port, so I got to remember which one to click and all that kind of stuff. Just little quality of life, right?
Just makes it easier.
Yeah. Another one is the graph view of your resources. I think this is radically underrated in terms of just like a feature of Aspire, like being able to visualize the way your resources are interconnected. Like, sure, the table view, you can kind of get some of that with like the parent-child nodes and stuff like that. But this is your architect diagram that you put into like the spec of your application. You have it in the wiki, but this is like a live view. It's just constantly there. It's constantly updating as you evolve your application. You can drag things around and all that kind of stuff. But with the latest release, we now can right-click on the nodes inside of here and get all that stuff that we had on the table view.
Okay.
So here we can jump from this web application. I can jump through to the console logs. Or I can view the details of like the connection string information, all that sort of stuff that just opens up that side panel. We can even run those custom commands that we have there. So I can stop this one. So like being a web application, maybe I want to recompile in Visual Studio, so I can stop it, recompile it, and then start it up again. Or I can even come in here. Where's my database? Let's do something dangerous. Let's see what happens. Oh man, if I can find my database, so many resources in here. There's the identity EB. It goes up to grab it. There's Postgres. Yeah, let's go. Bang, and stop Postgres. And we can even see that live views. Notice how all
the individual databases have stopped as well.
We're basically doing Chaos Monkey
ourselves
through here. I can just do that right click and stop. Cool. So that's cool. And we can even now we've got resources that are starting to become unhealthy. And let's see what happens if we hit our web application now that we've stopped that. Fingers crossed it's going to fail. But if it doesn't fail, is that a demo fail or is it a demo success?
It could just be cache. I don't know.
Yeah, but we're expecting it to fail because the database is offline, and if the demo doesn't, if it doesn't,
this sounds like a time zone.
Yeah.
So, but it's just loading.
Yeah, it looks like it's not working. And well, so there was actually a method to my madness of why I stopped that and then open up the website because it should fail. Look, there we go. Okay. So we've got this exception. That's not a particularly helpful exception, right? Something's timed out. We can see there's a 30-second timeout, but because we've got our Aspire dashboard, we get our little red dots that are telling us that here's all these exceptions that have happened.
Which red dot do we actually look at then?
Yeah, it's good. Well, I mean, we know that the web application is offline, so why don't we start there?
Okay.
And now we can have a look at the third and final of my top features for this release, and that is the GitHub Copilot integration.
Yeah.
So notice here I've got explain errors. I also have Copilot up in the top corner. But because I've got errors on this view, if I click, it knows that. So it's going to say, hey, maybe you want to know about these errors. So let's ask it. Let's say, hey, explain what's happening in these structured log errors. And because we've got all this rich telemetry in the Aspire dashboard, our logs, our traces, it understands our services and the dependencies and all that kind of stuff, it's able to go, well, let's give that information to our AI assistant and see what we can find from that. Because if you remember this exception, it tells us something timed out. And we can see from here, it's just resilience failure. Connection failed was eventually the problem. But now we can see, well, it was a timeout error from Polly.
Okay.
Kind of what we expected.
Yep.
Here are the log messages. But then it's saying the logs indicate that timeout was triggered. Trying to access the catalog API. Like I didn't realize there's nothing, if we look in this stack trace, that is really telling me what endpoint was I hitting when that error happened. So all of a sudden, I now know these are the endpoints that we've tried to hit. What are the possible causes of this? Well, like it's, there might be some networking issues and stuff like that. So we're starting to understand a bit more of it. It's even telling us some information around like, hey, maybe these are the next things you want to ask it. How do I troubleshoot the health of this service? We can do a similar thing with our traces. So if I come over to here, traces, and let's just close Copilot for a second, and let's just filter this down to our web application, because now everything is just crashing.
Yeah.
And we can see like, here's that trace that failed.
Okay.
So let's click onto this one and we can see cascading of red. But again, because it knows that there were errors, let's get it to explain that trace. So now it's not just analyzing log messages, but it's analyzing this distributed trace across multiple services, combining that with like log information, because again, this is all interconnected. And here we go, like it's starting to analyze that, and it's telling us that this time, issues to be resolved, the web app, the catalog API, and then eventually catalog DB, because it's been able to figure out that through that trace, that's where the problem is. And then it gives us a root cause analysis of the problem, repeated connection errors to catalog DB. So it's suggesting that that might be a problem. And then we get this lovely summary table down at the bottom that's kind of giving us some next steps and the database connections failure. So like that's fundamentally where it is. So let's expand this just so we got a bit more screens real estate so we can see that. But yeah, I think this is so cool because there is so much useful information you get out of traces and structured logs, whether it is a system like the Aspire dashboard or you're pushing it into like an external hotel place. Just trying to understand that, bring that together, and then reasoning across it. There's like, as we see here, like 9 cascading problems. Like how do you, as a developer, make heads or tails out of that? There's so much to go. And that's why I think this integration with GitHub Copilot is so cool, is because now we can say, well, I know there's some problems. I will read these stack traces, I'll read these logs, and I'll eventually get to the point. But hey, Copilot, can you give me some starting points? Help me figure out what I might want to know out of this, what is useful. And then, yeah, it's telling me, restart the database and the Postgres resource, because that's what was, we stopped it. So like, there you go. Yeah. So it's figured, like it's only figured out where it is, the Postgres database is not running.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's cool.
That's wicked. And this is, I saw some references to Entity Framework. This isn't just tied to .NET technology. Like I can run. No, so this is all just reading what's in the OpenTelemetry logs that have got sent there and the traces. So if you're using, say, a Python application, maybe you've got like a Flask API that's doing some work, as long as it's pushing to OTel and to the Aspire dashboard. OTel is the
OpenTelemetry, sorry, yeah. I work for Microsoft. I've got to use an acronym here and there.
Yeah.
I've done this with React applications. Okay. So like your React application is obviously running in the browser. You push the OpenTelemetry configuration to that so that you can analyze the page navigations, your click events through to your API that then is to the database. And because all that information is here, like if something in that failure happens, you can start with that button click that happened and then get Copilot to tell you, the database was offline between like multiple service hops.
So what I'm gathering, what I'm hearing is it doesn't really matter what application you're building. You really want to make sure that you're pumping out some OpenTelemetry so you can see the bigger picture.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think like, with these things like GitHub Copilot, the more information you can give it, and then we'll distill that down to be able to reason across it, the better insights you're going to get. Like if we didn't have OpenTelemetry insights around this, the Postgres database, for example, we know that, the was it catalog API? Yeah, the catalog API was trying to talk to a database, and it might be like, well, I couldn't talk to the database, but it doesn't know that in this case the database is not running. It might just be it can't resolve the DNS record or whatever the case may be in that scenario. But because we have all of those logs in there, it's really able to go, hey, I actually can find you as much information as you've given me available.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's been super interesting. I can't wait to get into it and give I love Copilot when I'm developing. So I think this is obvious next steps.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, just take it that step further. Help me understand my errors, not just the code that I write that's wrong, the code I've deployed being wrong.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Aaron. This has been an awesome chat.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'm Matt Wicks from SSW TV. Thanks for watching.